What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Bodacious Rant. I hope everybody's had a great week. You know, we're in February now, so it's not only Black History Month, it's also the month of love. So, I mean, that should be universal. Love for cultures and people, and, of course, love for good television, which, of course, is what we're talking about today, which is The Last of Us Episode 4. We're kind of at the halfway point of this season so far, so it's getting to be a doozy. When we were watching, I was like, oh man, I forgot how many episodes there are. I hope there's like 12, but Bern reminded me, oh, there's only 9. I'm like, shit, we're not even there. There's so much more to explore. Oh my god. But that's just because the show's doing so well with like what it has, and I'm really excited for it. Honestly, it was another good episode. Definitely, it's hard to come down from episode 3. Just because, you know, for those who remember with Bill and Frank, like seeing what happened with that and how emotionally like draining and satisfying it was, it's like, man, how are we gonna keep going after this? And needless to say, it did. This isn't gonna be a spoiler episode, so Bern and I are gonna talk spoilers tonight as always. So please do not forget to watch the episode, come on back, and of course, please give us a like if you like the episode. Ring the bell to stay up to date with notifications, and of course subscribe. We truly appreciate it, guys, and love seeing the views, and you know, any comments are welcome. So as long as just don't be negative, you know, unless maybe like a compliment sandwich. You know, you're gonna compliment us, negative in between, and then compliment us again. I'm fine with that. You know?
You gotta layer the criticism with some nice things that'll make us feel better.
Yeah, I think that's what the Brits call negging, when you're hitting on a woman by saying something like a backhanded compliment. You know, you could do that with me. I'll take that. I'll take the negging a little bit. Like, Ryan, you sound so good. Your hair says otherwise. It's like, thank you. I appreciate that. Anyways, let's get started with it, shall we? And well, Bern, are you happy to finally see the scene from that confirmed Bill and Frank from the video game in this episode? That the one that you didn't want to talk about yet?
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't spoil it, because yeah, that was one of the funniest scenes in the game. You know, that scene where she finds the magazine in the back of the truck, and she makes reference to it. You know, so again, that was something in the game that alluded to, you know, a Bill being gay. You know, was that one of the gay porn magazines that she found in the back of the truck? So the way the scene played out in the show was almost pretty much 1-to-1 with how it was in the game. So I'm glad I did ruin it for everybody. So nice little foresight on that, I'll say.
Yeah, and you know what, the dog is saying he agrees with you in the background there. Yeah, no, it was like straight out of the game. And I want to say that like last time too, is that Bella Ramsey really is hitting all like the familiar lines from the game. Whenever both her and Pedro do it, but Bella really knows how to deliver Ellie's lines. It almost sounds exactly like the same actor from the game. So the magazine part was pretty great, because it really was ripped out of the cut scene from the game, and Joel's just like, put it away, don't look at that, please. And it's just, oh my god, you walk with something that big. It was just a good time. But I like that this episode, again, now they're finally starting to feel like they have an understanding of each other, especially when she pulls out her joke book. And I like what was the joke I forgot what the other ones were, but I like the one where they're like going to sleep in the woods, and she's like, hey, how did the Scarecrow get an award? And he looks back at her and says, because he was outstanding in this field. And she's like, you motherfucker. He's hinting like, dude, these jokes are nothing new to me, but you know what, I'll let you have it a little bit. So I like that they're kind of bonding a little bit more throughout this episode.
Yeah, me too. I mean, this is basically the first episode that we're getting where it's just them two. You know, it's the two of them alone, and they're on this journey together. So, you know, them basically getting to bond by the end of this episode was really nice to see. And yeah, what better way to do it than opening up with some really funny puns that she has in her pun book. That's something that was in the game, and I'm glad that they brought it in here, and it worked just as well, I think.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely. It's nice because she's opening up to him, and Joel is slowly letting her in. Like, the fact, you can tell that Pedro wanted to laugh at some of those, but he's holding it back just to try and keep a serious face in front of her. And she's like that annoying little like a little sibling or something, or a little like person you're watching, just like trying to get under your skin. It's like, all right, kid, whatever. I like how he's like, you can wait in the truck. I don't care. Um, the other thing that I kind of got pretty excited for is that we finally getting to see them come across like marauders or people, other factions outside of Fedra and the Fireflies. Like when they get to Kansas City, which I don't remember from the game that was originally in Pittsburgh, but I think the Kansas City still worked. Like, you know, it is what it is. It worked fine for how far they're getting to Wyoming. And
Yeah, big hats off to the set designers. They've been doing such a great job so far, but they didn't really have to do much this episode. That is, modern day Kansas City. That's what it looks like now. And they didn't have to make it post apocalyptic because that's just the way it is over there.
oh my gosh, horrible.
I'm sorry, I had to get a Kansas City dig there somehow.
Yeah, and you know what? No offense to Chiefs fans, I'm just not a fan of the Chiefs. So you know what? That's fine. You have at it, Burn. Stupid. But I like that as when they got to the tunnel at that one, when they get to like the tunnel essentially during the freeway, it's all blocked off. I was like, okay, that's definitely not good because the roads he talked about earlier, like the roads were all plowed so they can get tanks through and all this stuff, and as they're driving through, you just get a feeling like I love that the tension's building because she doesn't know how to read the map where they're at. He's getting a little stressed out. He's like, no, I don't like this at all. Like, this is weird. Where is everybody? And you see that the DMZ, oh, no, the QZ, I'm sorry. The QZ is completely wide open. There's no guards, nothing there. So that was a little like, okay. And as soon as the guy came out, like, oh, I'm hurt. Like, help me. It's like, yep, that's a setup right there. So I'm glad that Joel called that out. And Ellie's like, we're not going to help him. He's like, nope, hold on. And it was just it was a very well done action scene. Super simple, pretty straightforward, just a good ambush. And we're seeing more of Joel's badass side. It was right out of the game, just the little shootout, how they keep cursing at you and shooting everywhere, and then how he crawls around behind. I was like, I've done that before. I did it all the time. I just did it the other night. I was replaying it. So.
Yeah, there was a lot of things here. In this whole episode, basically, that were a lot of nods to the game. Everything that you just mentioned so far, and like interesting little things too, where like the bad guys or the enemies here will like call out the names of the people that you shoot. That was something that they added into the second game. So to have that detail there, and then at the end of the action sequence when the dude is basically trying to plead for his life. That's also something that they added into the second game to make that violence feel a little bit more, just for it to have a little bit more impact. Like you're killing somebody. This isn't like, oh, they're just a faceless person and they're in the way now, but they get taken down and they're gone. It's like, no, this is a person who had a life. So that was interesting to see that they brought that into the show.
Yeah, the second game definitely delved in more to the idea that no one is truly good or bad in this like post-apocalyptic pandemic world, that everyone's kind of out for their own survival. So it's everybody's the hero of their own story. So that part was pretty good, and I just really liked that like Ellie finally, like she got her signature gun from Bill and Frank's, and even though she uses it, she still, you can definitely tell she's fresh to this. She's never really held the gun. She's never really shot somebody before. So it was still something where she was shocked. And Joel just kind of, I like when Joel told her, like, oh yeah, get back behind the wall. You're not, like, saying you're not going to want to see this, essentially. A very cold scene, but it just kind of goes to show, like, Joel is definitely not a perfect person. He's not a true hero, but because they're just doing what they got to do to survive. So I really like that.
Mm-hmm. And just real quickly, it was an interesting juxtaposition too, because we see the opening scene of her, fiddling with the gun, and in the mirror, in that like rundown bathroom, kind of like a little bit of a Taxi Driver moment there. But it was interesting because it's like, okay, she's fiddling with a gun. It's like, oh, having a gun is cool. Like, this is awesome. But when she has to use it in that scene, it's devastating. That the violence is not pretty, and that's what I really enjoy about this show so far. That the violence here is not like dramatized at all. It just feels like very real.
Yeah, that was a very, again, it's just all very well done. And then we're introduced to these two new characters. One's kind of not new, but for most people he is, and for the story he is. Where we got oh my god, what's her name? Something Leslie Linsky?
Melanie Linsky.
Melanie.
Yeah, she's playing
Melanie
Kathleen
Linsky.
in the show.
I've loved her for years, like especially when she's in 2.5 Men. She was in Flags of Our Father. She's been in so much stuff. It's like, man, she's a great actor. So when they brought her in this, I'm like, oh my god, even more talent. Perfect. And then when you pointed out that her right hand guy, I forgot the guy's name, but it was a voice of Tommy. I was like, oh, now I fucking hear, and that is so cool.
Jeffrey Pierce.
Dude, he looks like a badass in real life too. Like, cause Tommy's a badass in the game, so especially in the part 2. So it was great to see him as one of these guys, and we find out that, Kathleen. That's the lady's character's name. One more time, what's her name, Bernie?
Melanie Linsky.
Melanie Linsky. I don't know why I keep saying Leslie. I think it's the last name. Melanie Linsky and Pierce's characters, they took over the QZ. They got rid of Fedra, and that scene where she's interrogating that doctor about who these people are, like where they're at, and it was just like, man, this is not a good place to be either. Like, these are supposed to be people that fought against, like, the established order and kind of liberated themselves, but it just feels just as dark, if not even scarier, because there is no true order to kind of keep everything together. It's literally everybody out for themselves. So that was cool. And then when they bring back 2 of the guys that Joel fucked up, essentially, like how you talked about the violence, how it felt more real. It's like, dude, they should be dead, because we saw one go down from gunshot. You hear the other guy get stabbed, but the guy that got shot, it's like, no, he's dying. Like, he's not gonna live. It really wouldn't make sense if we had a doctor. Like, that's his last breath, essentially. When she went back and straight up killed the doctor, I was like, oh shit, she's legit. She does not give a fuck either. Like, I thought she was gonna be kind of like one of those leaders that she's trying to be good, but that's definitely not the vibe. I think she just doesn't care, and she's literally trying to get after. She mentions Henry and Sam are some pivotal characters in Joel and Ellie's journey from part 1. So when you heard that, I was like, oh, that's right, that's who they are. They're these 2 brothers that are in Pittsburgh when they run into them. But yeah, how did you feel about her character at all? Did you care, or was it something like you were like, okay, this is fine, or did you like really like her?
You know what? I'm a little bit tentative now, because I do like the actress, and I think I've enjoyed her in everything that I've seen her in, but for some reason, like in the brief moments that we got with her, I wasn't really buying her as like a leader type character, and maybe that'll change by the end of next episode. But I definitely see like why like she would be the leader, since we saw her like be quick to action, like when she just stormed over and killed the doctor. Like, she's a very no nonsense person, so I see why people would I guess follow her in this situation. And I guess also we didn't really see anything beforehand to see how they overthrew the government a quarantine zone that they had set up there. So maybe if we had seen that, it would have like helped a little bit. But as of right now, there was a little bit like, she's not really selling it for me yet. But we'll see. We're gonna get another episode with her presumably, so she can definitely change my mind then.
Yeah, no worries, and that's totally fair. I'm kind of that aspect of like, if I get a little bit of background from their context and stuff like that, I'll kind of assume that's what it is. Maybe they will show how they took over the QZ. I don't know if they will, because this episode was pretty short compared to the last 3. This one was around 43 minutes or so, and the last 2 were over an hour, or around an hour, so I'm curious about why they did decide to do that. I don't know if that's going to be the rest of the season, or if that was just this quick little snippet, but we will find out. And I guess the other part that I really liked too is when they were hiding out in this bar, like looking at Kathleen's forces just kind of going through all the buildings, finding these guys. I like that, again, they keep opening up, and Joel taught her how to use the gun, essentially. Like, get your grip right. This is how you use it. Don't put it in your back pocket like she felt like she was doing, feeling all cool. He's like, no, you'll shoot your ass off if you do that. So I just like the way how straightforward he is with her. Like, she's a little kid, and he acknowledges that. He's like, I didn't want you to do that. Like, I fucked up by letting that guy sneak behind me. You shouldn't have to kill anybody or deal with that. So it's good that he's still, even though he's kind of trying to keep her away, it's stuff like that. It's like, no, you're warming up to her. You are starting to care about her. So I thought that scene was pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely liking this minor change that they're doing to Joel's character, where it seems like he's warming up to Ellie a lot quicker. I mean, in the game, I would say Joel is very cold and very distant. You know, like he definitely has his barriers up for a majority of that game, really. So, you know, for you know, the way Pedro's playing it, for us to see cracks in that exterior, you know, in all the scenes that we've been getting so far, you know, with that gasoline scene in the beginning where he's giving her nothing, but then, you know, them when they're camping out, you see it start to work a little bit, and then here where he starts to like apologize and open up, and you know, shows her how to use the gun and stuff. It's showing that the connection is growing, and it's something we definitely need for a show. You know, obviously, we know we need to be shown that these characters are bonding. It's not us playing a game and us getting attached that way. We have to. It's a more passive experience. So things like this need to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's happening pretty organically too, because yeah, he's still decently cold for a person. You know, he's because I think he just doesn't want to he doesn't want to see this kid as his daughter, but it's like no, you kind of are bit by bit. And I like when they end up camping in this one building. Her last joke was great, just the whole you know, diarrhea is hereditary. It's like, what? Yeah, because it runs in your genes. It's like, that's so gross, but it's so great. It's just like, but I like how even he started laughing because I'm like, come on, that's pretty good. You can't ignore that one. But they're just like, oh, you little fucker. Oh man, but that surprise at the very end, well, before this very surprise ending, when Kathleen and I think that guy. I don't remember the character's name. I don't know if
his character's name is Perry, but it's Jeffrey
okay.
Pierce, the actor.
Okay, yeah, Perry. When they go through like this one building across from, you know, the whole shooting happened, you see this giant sinkhole, and it's like almost like trying to erupt. You hear stuff under there, so it's like basically hinting they're sitting on a whole horde of infected trying to come out, and the way she's like, no, just close down this building. We won't tell anybody quite yet. Like, we'll figure something out. It's like, no. So I think for the next episode, it's gonna get crazy. Like, you're dealing with, you know, these crazy, like, these people that took over the city, and then you're gonna have to deal with the infected either. So that's gonna be pretty action packed. But then we also see Henry and Sam finally make their introduction in the show, where they're holding them at gunpoint at night, and I was like, oh man, it was a great way to end it off, man. Now we have to wait another goddamn week for it. And it's just like, shit. I need to see this now. I need to see what's gonna happen, especially because the teaser finally hinted at a bloater walk around, which is easily one of the scariest things from this game, just because those things are a bitch to kill. So I'm so excited for next week. I don't know about you, Bern.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like this episode was like a little bit of a setup, you know, getting us ready for the things that are going to be happening next week, which by all accounts seems like stuff is going to pop off. So definitely cool that we're introduced to Henry and Sam here. Can't wait to see how they're adapted in the show. But yeah, getting some more infected is going to be cool too, since they haven't been as, you know, prevalent in these last couple episodes. So to get them back and to get, you know, that one especially, it should be very cool if it's done right. And by the way, they did the clickers in episode 2, then we shouldn't expect any less.
I got my head ripped off so many times by that bloater, so I'm ready to see if he does it to anybody in the game, because it's got to happen. I mean, I don't know if that'll be too graphic, but I'm just saying it'll happen. Anything else pop out at you, Bern, besides like the beautiful visuals and the stuff? Was there anything you caught maybe from the game or anything, or no?
I mean, nothing's really coming to mind right now. I think we covered pretty much the most of it. I mean, stuff like that I want to talk about, but I don't think we probably should until we get into the meat of next week's episode, because it has to do a lot with Henry and Sam. But I'll save that for the next discussion.
No worries, my brother. Everybody, what did you think of this episode? Are you still in love with this? Was it too slow after the last few episodes? We'd love to know. Please let us know in the comments. Comments. Oh my god, what am I saying? And yeah, like I said, we're also gonna do a review of Knock at the Cabin, which is a funny story. I'll save for the review for that one. That happened today. Vern already knows it. And again, guys, we're in February, so the movies are gonna start rolling in a lot more. I know Bern's already seen a couple, which we'll kind of go over briefly when we do our Knock at the Cabin review. So stay tuned for that. He and I are still playing Dead Space Remake, which is it's almost as scary as this. So we'll stay tuned for that. But of course, guys, as always, you know, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for the both of us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.